to the Pediatric Speech Sister Network. My name is Melanie White Evans. I am a bilingual pediatric speech language pathologist currently practicing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm also licensed to practice in Texas. I am so happy and excited to announce that I just launched my private practice. It is called Legacy Culturally Responsive Therapy Services. Currently, we are taking patients online in Texas, and we are also doing in-person therapy, in-home health, and of course, teletherapy in Oklahoma. So I am so excited to be announcing that and excited to let you all know what's to come. Today, we are talking about mental health in professional settings and also in academic programs. I will say that this topic came to mind, especially because, frankly, many of us are leaving the field. Many of us are suffering through burnout. Many of us are going through moral injury in the field. And we are really just trying to learn how to be our own unique personalities. And sadly, the day to day work could strip that away from us. And also, how we internalize and process these things can strip away our personality. I know because you were looking at a survivor of that and also someone who still deals and battles with it a lot. I will be honest and straight up and say that I battle from mental health. I have depression. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder when I was 18 before I went to college, and it got really bad in college. Um, has gotten a lot better, but there's waves, and I've learned how to manage it, which is what I'm coming on here today to just talk about different ways that I manage my mental health. Not only is it major depressive disorder, but also anxiety disorder. So, if you know anything about major depressive disorder, I will tell you one thing. I can't cite the source, but I've heard it cited like this: that major depressive disorder is when you are worrying about the past, whereas anxiety is when you're worrying too much about the future. So I have a bit of both of those things. So we can just kind of start with graduate school and taking the SLP praxis exam. That in it of itself, especially if you're a person of color, has a lot of implications on our mental health. There are actually studies that talks about how BIPOC individuals really struggle with mental health disorders in academia, especially when it comes to imposter syndrome, taking on the microaggressions, taking on the feelings of just not feeling worthy enough to even be there, not seeing themselves enough in the field. So it's really hard to just accept the differences um, internally. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when we're taking the certification exam, we tend to put a whole bunch of pressure on ourselves mentally. Am I going to pass? What does that mean if I don't pass? I'm the first one to, for example, I'm the first one to even go to grad school in my family. So this means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. It means a lot to my kids. Some people have kids. So that pressure in and of itself can really set a bad vibe within someone's own being. The reason why I say it like that is because I know personally I don't like waking up struggling to get out of bed. I don't like walking around kind of moping and replaying thoughts, bad meetings, bad conversations, bad relationships, whatever bad feelings I have with myself over and over again in my head. And I also hate when I'm in a habit loop of anxiety. And I'm just like, there's just constantly something to worry about, it seems like, right? I'm a woman of faith, so I even struggle with that even more because I'm like, hey, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe that they have my back. I believe that I was brought here for a reason. I believe that I made it this far for a reason. So why is it hard to just accept that? Why does my mind automatically go to the worst case scenario? That's still something that I'm dealing with. But if I can really just say anything today before I get into any of my points, is that you're not alone if you're going through these things. I go through it. I want to say we all go through it. Some manage it better than others, but if you feel like you're in a rut, understand that it's your journey and understand that you can seek help. So, I am writing a book called The Practice Self Care ebook. It is on pre-sale and it is actually done, but the perfectionist in me wants to add more information in there because as I was putting information in there, there's just things that need to be elaborated on a bit more. But today I'm going to read directly from the book. There is a section in this book called Loving Yourself for Praxis Success and then Loving Your Mind for Praxis Success. So, if you were looking at this as an SLP praxis examinee or a graduate student, there are very specific things that you should do. Now, if you were looking at this video as an already established speech pathologist, maybe you already passed the praxis exam, this all applies. These are still things that I highly recommend doing. So, here are some quick mental health strategies to keep in mind. And I'm going to really focus on one specifically and elaborate more because this is part of my journey too. So, mental health strategies for loving your mind. Notice the signs and seek help when needed. Know that you're not alone. Practice self love. Seek professional help and don't be afraid. And notify your support system. So, let me go with point number 3 is practicing self love. That could be really hard for us to do. A lot of us are type A personalities. Myself, I am a type A personality. So I thought I wasn't a type A personality until I realized that I am in a hustle culture and it's just very hard. It's very, very, very hard to compete, healthy competition or not. It's very hard to be in a field that is predominantly white, and it's very hard to heal generational wounds. And I am someone who really believes that generational wounds, traumas, patterns, habits are in our DNA, and it takes a lot of body work to get that out or to heal it or to release it. So I was going to smack my dad. Y'all, my father he listens to my podcast and he is like, "This is really good, but you do smack a lot. You smack a lot." So now I'm like, "Okay, thank you, daddy." All right. So boom. Here are just some self-care strategies. The first one I will say is practice gratitude. You might not think of that as self-care necessarily, but practicing gratitude has really changed the way I interacted with my own mind and my own thoughts. Excuse me. Finding ways to be thankful in situations that might feel like a disadvantage. So let's say even COVID-19. And I will just speak for myself personally. I was so disappointed that I graduated in 2020, by the way. So, I was very disappointed that I did not have a formal graduation. We worked this hard. We had to just kind of pull the plug on in person and go at home and watch videos online. It was just completely different. Um, and it took me a lot of faith and inner work to find the gratitude in that moment, because what that did is it helped me just slow down. Even though the coursework was still happening, we still had finals, everything still slowed down. I didn't have to do my commutes as much. I didn't have to do my commutes at all. I was doing some huge commutes from DC to Maryland, from Maryland to DC to class, to my externship, to my SLPA job. It was a lot. And I didn't realize how much I was just an autopilot. So I didn't really realize what that was doing to me. And I will just say the same thing, that that's what we tend to do in our jobs. We are just on an autopilot of seeing the kids, seeing the kids, seeing the kids, that we don't know when to just relax. So Finding the gratitude is very important in every situation. I was watching a show, listening to a book even, that talks about finding gratitude in the small things, like, thank God that I'm breathing. Thank God. Thank you, higher self. Thank you that I'm able to walk. Thank you that I'm able to write. Thank you that I'm even able to look at this person right now who is getting on my nerves. But thank God that I'm able to sit with this person who is getting on my nerves and get paid for it. Right? Just really finding gratitude, and everything goes a long way. That was one soapbox. The second soapbox I want to talk about is getting in touch with your body, like really listening to your body. That has been a game changer for me. Here's why: because it strengthened my intuition and it strengthened my personality. It strengthened my relationship with myself. So I know when I'm hungry. Most people know when they're hungry, their stomach is bubbling, right? That's the first way to listen to your body. I will say though, it's very hard to listen to that cue, that trigger, when you are at work and you are being told to push out like 20 IEPs in a week, something crazy like that, right? So it is hard to get in touch with your body in that way. But one thing that's even crazier is that your body can talk. If you take, and I say you, but I mean even me, by taking time to meditate and tap into my body a bit more and just really listen to what it was trying to tell me, I know when I'm hungry, I know when I'm thirsty, I know when I'm uncomfortable. I really pay attention to my shoulders, and I felt myself at the computer like this. I might be exaggerating, but that's what it felt like. It's not comfortable. It's not a comfortable flow state to be typing a report about a child who we have to protect them, care about the whole well-being as a child. And I want to be, just really think about what flow state you want to be in. Do you want to be like this, or do you want to be like this? Like, I can talk about this child confidently. I can show up to this IEP meeting and say, hey, these are the complications I've noticed. These are the concerns. However, these are also his strengths. And this is what we can do. And that really also just shows your confidence as a speech pathologist. I stepped onto a whole other tangent, but just to bring it back to listening to your body, there's so much fruit that comes from that. Speaking of fruit, listening to your body when it tells you what to eat and when it tells you what you don't like. I remember the first time I really learned this for myself, I was in graduate school, and there's this delicious spot called Florida Avenue Grill. If oh nope, not there is a delicious spot called Florida Avenue Grill, but that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about, oh, it's beyond me. If you're in the DC area, it's in the Shaw Howard neighborhood, not Florida Avenue Grill, but either way, it's by the Potbelly on Florida Avenue. I can't believe I'm forgetting it. But they have these really good, crap, it's gonna really bother me. I can't think of it. But they have these really good chicken sandwiches that were really good, and they were kosher, supposedly kosher. However, when I ate it, after I ate it, I remember I was reading some reports for my university clinic client, and I just felt so tired. I felt sluggish. I was supposed to have a class right after speech therapy. Excuse me. I was supposed to have a class right after speech therapy. And I was exhausted. I couldn't even think straight. So, first thing I want to talk to are the students in graduate school and the praxis examinees. If you can't think straight, how are you going to be able to retain difficult information like, I don't know, neuro language disorders, motor speech disorders, stuttering? There's a lot of key information that we need to retain, and it will be very hard if your brain is slowing down because it took on too much meat when maybe your body doesn't actually like meat like that, or took on too much fatty oils that aren't what your body is but what isn't what your body is asking for. It's hard to talk about because I've just really been there. I've cut out fast food. Chick-fil-A, y'all, I love Chick-fil-A. I've had to cut out Chick-fil-A. I had Chick-fil-A the other day. I took a big old nap. But thankfully it was Saturday. If I had it during the weekday, it would have slowed me down. I know we're talking about mental health, but even those things have a ripple effect. If you're not productive, that means you're not getting work done. And then oftentimes, when we aren't crossing certain things off of our to do list, it makes us think negatively about ourselves. So we can just go ahead and stop that domino effect in the mud, just stop it right there and do the first thing and make sure that our bodies are well nourished. What I did was keep a food journal for, like, a week. Really, it was 3 to 5 days, and I just wrote down all the foods that my body felt good about. I actually did a fast first. First, I fasted, um, and I just did, like, fruit and water fast, and I would have dinner at night, but it'd have to be healthy meals, and I wrote down everything that my body liked. Well, when I broke that fast, I started eating like normal and, fried chicken and everything. I wrote down how my body felt, and I'm like, my body actually does not like that very much. Y'all, there's this place called Brahms in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's in Missouri too. If you're in the Midwest, you're probably hip to Brahms. They have these delicious milkshakes. Like, I promise you, it comes straight from the cow. I cannot drink them anymore. I can't. My body doesn't agree with it. I'll break out, my stomach will hurt. It's, like, not even worth it. Like, I'm really taking a risk. Listen to yourself. As you start thinking more about yourself and what your body needs, your body starts responding to it and just being helpful for you. It's like you're a team with your own body. I know that sounds could sound weird, but that's how I like to think of it. Like, I am working on loving myself and being in a good relationship with myself. And that starts with my body, my mind, and my spirit. So, love your body, love your mind. That's what I like to say. Before I close out, let me go ahead and just read some self love strategies and gentle reminders. Positive self talk. Talk to yourself as you would a best friend. Ground yourself through prayer, through journaling. I love walking when it's sunny outside. It's still winter. It's like the end of winter right now. So I am not really pleased with that. I haven't been going on as much walks, but as weather permits, definitely go on a walk. It's a game changer. Make plans to do something fun over the weekend. If it's your season to go out and go dancing, especially in graduate school, I highly recommend still spending your 20s, okay, having fun if you're in your 20s. If you're older, that might even, and if you have a family, that might even mean going out with your family. A lot of times we're just so sucked into the school life and the academic part of life that we forget that we have homes and families. So even myself, I need to do better at taking care of my dog. I do take care of my dog, but just playing with him a lot more. Anyway, so practicing breath work, that's what brings me back to taking care of your body. Our central nervous system and our automatic nervous systems are working. They are working. We got the fight or flight too that is working in our favor, but sometimes it's not necessarily in our favor because it can't tell the difference between an actual threat and not a threat. So, for example, if you are about to get ready to do this big test, or if you're about to go into an IEP meeting where you know that the parent is really aggressive. I didn't want to say aggressive. I was actually going to say cuckoo. Aggressive ended up coming out. But, we've all had those parents, right? So if it's a parent that you don't necessarily get along with well, you might feel your body tensing up, or maybe you're right there at the table and the parent is going off on you and telling you that you're not qualified, or how dare you say that certain thing, or in the report, anything like that. Practice breathing. There is the documentary on Netflix called Explained, and they have an excellent graphic of, like, your body is red, like, they show the inside of the body and it's red. the person is breathing or the diagram is breathing, and it's like it's clearing all the stressful energy and out. And so you're sending communication to your brain. It also does something with the blood cells. You're sending communications to your brain saying it's okay to relax. So your brain is like on fight or flight. And by you taking control of your breath, you're taking control of your body's natural responses and natural triggers and saying, hey, it's okay. Chill. No te preocupes. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. It's going to be okay. So, those are just some mental health strategies. I really want to, again, just go back to seeking help when needed and really just taking care of your body, because if we're not taking care of our bodies, we're not taking care of our souls, we are not taking care of our minds. And I am right here on this journey with you. If you liked this episode, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe. Share it with a friend. I really enjoy meeting you all and talking about information like this and helping you all pass the Praxis exam. If you aren't already, my name is Praxis Speech Sister on Instagram. Follow me on Praxis Speech Sister on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also follow my other page, Pediatric Speech Sister, where I talk about different cultural competency things. I talk about healthcare. I talk about disparities in the academic system. So I'm a woman of many passions, and I am just so excited to have you as part of the community. All right. Well, until then, happy studying to my Praxis family and happy working and slaying to my working SLPs.